What's up, guys? Welcome back. What is going on? So, we are here to preview the Patriots and the Chargers game coming up, and I have brought a very special guest along with me, Jake Silva from the Snake Sports Talk Show. What up, Jake?
What's going on, man? Well, first and foremost, screw your team, okay? All right, it's Bastion up over there, all right?
Oh, we'll get into that, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we will definitely
like,
get into that.
right here,
but,
right there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right there. Little teary eye right there. But hey, I'm here. I'm bolting it up here in Las Vegas, man. Listen, I'm on one side of the nationwide, and you're on the other side up over there. So we got it all going on. I'm bolting up here in Vegas. Glad to be here. Shout out to Bolt Gang, Bolt fam up over there. All my diehard Chargers fan, man. Hope you guys love this live stream, man. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, this is gonna be good. This is an important game, man. This is especially for the Patriots. We've talked about this off stream a couple of times.
So many.
They can't afford to lose. They literally have got to win out. They have to.
Yes. Yeah, they've got to win out. I mean, you're looking at right now, this AFC picture is stacked this year.
Yeah.
It is stacked top to bottom. I mean, look, we already know, honestly, Cleveland, finally, they got a grown-up at head coach, but their record at 8-3, they figured it out. Yeah. I mean, they're limiting Baker Mayfield as much as they can, but as for the rest of the bunch, and I know Darian hates talking about it because you got his Raiders involved, you got a lot of teams, Baltimore, New England in the middle of the mix.
Kansas City at the top of the mountain, as per usual. That team is a Madden cheat code.
Oh yeah, I mean, no doubt. I mean, Kansas City, there's no way to break away from the type of year they're having, and especially the team and the players that they got. Mm-hmm. That's no doubt. I mean, Pittsburgh is 11-0, but right now, man, I'm kind of
they're vulnerable. They showed some weaknesses.
Yeah. They are, and especially with a backup quarterback in RG3,
mm-hmm.
that was just like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
So, but Tennessee too. I mean, Tennessee is also another team I don't sleep on because they went into a rough patch, but they are getting better.
That's what. Yeah. But we all know. To me, I mean, that's how Derrick Henry goes is how the Chargers go. If they can get him rolling and they can get him running downhill. It's going to be they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs if they can get him running downhill at the right times.
Yeah, this is true. This is absolutely true, man. And that's why I'm like, it's up for grabs, man. It's anybody's ball game in that playoff spot, but then it's going to determine who wants it the most because it could be any one of them. You could put them in, you could put them in a shuffle, you know what I mean? And then hoping that one raffle ticket, it's going to be that team that that punches their ticket into the playoffs.
So let's kind of dive right into this, Jake. The Chargers are what are you guys sitting at right now?
Well, right now we're sitting at 3-8, and I could just tell you right now, this team is way too good.
You guys are on the outside looking in, right?
Pretty much, and I mean this team is way too good to be 3-8. They're way too good to be 3-8.
And we talked about it. Haven't they lost? The last time I looked, I mean, I haven't looked in a couple weeks. But haven't the Chargers lost like 9 games by under a touchdown or by a touchdown or less?
So actually the record with 1 touchdown or less, they're actually 3-16, 3-17.
Yeah, because it goes back into last season, right?
Yep. This goes back into 2019, and the only wins that they've really come across was Cincinnati, Jacksonville, and the Jets.
Some of the bottom 5. Yeah.
Right, some of the bottom 5, and all of this has to deal with conservative coaching that's coming from Anthony Lynn. And I mean, listen, the year that they had before going 12-4. I honestly thought that was a very impressive team because you got the last push of Phillip Rivers before he now just becomes mistake prone. He's unathletic and he just can't do it no more. So
I thought he was toast at the end with
oh, he was done.
San Diego. You could just see it in his body language. He was done. He was done.
Yeah, he was absolutely done. And that's why you want to get at least as much as you can out of him. But This Jake guy giving me Chargers vibes. I don't know why. Well, is that for real, or is that a bad joke by your name? But, you had to at least get the last push-up out of him. This team, if you look at the roster from top to bottom, it is way too good for it to show its record currently and even what they were last year at 5-11. I mean, I was absolutely I was mind blown and I was disappointed because all of this is coming from conservative play. Anthony Lynn plays scared. And at the same time, Gus Bradley just plays a defense that just lets plays through them. And it pisses me off because I saw that.
Don't they play that cover 2 a lot?
A lot. And it's driving me nuts. And here's the thing. This is what made the point. 2018. So they played Baltimore in that divisional or in that wild card round. They played Lamar Jackson, and they already faced him once. I was at that game for the Christmas special. That was my first ever NFL game. Yes, Christine, I am a diehard Chargers fan. Been a diehard fan since I was 7 years old. What's up, Key in the building? You're always in the building up here tonight. But that Christmas game that I went to, I saw the worst out of the Chargers. And they were playing Lamar Jackson, who just was running everywhere. But here's the credit. The run game was great. Gus Edwards, lots of guys were pounding through that defensive line. It was bad. And that was where I first started seeing the struggle out of the Chargers because they played Baltimore again. And Uchenna had a great game. He started pressuring Jackson. Everybody was going through him. So all they were trying to do is put pressure on Jackson and force him to throw and everything else, but they were stopping the runs as they were going. But it scared me at the second half because he started putting up points. Yeah. That was where I was afraid of that. Then they come into New England. Gus Bradley didn't change nothing. He changed nothing out of the defense. And I'm just like, Gus, this is not Lamar Jackson we're facing here. This is the greatest of all time in Tom Brady, and he throws the football. He throws a better football than what Lamar Jackson does. So what is he going to do? He's going to utilize Gronk. He's going to utilize Edelman, and he's going to throw short screen plays to James White and Sony Michel and Rex Burkhead. That's what Belichick
10,
does.
12, 14 yards and in, man. Just
exactly.
Dart. Just throw dart, those high percentage dart throws. And just throw them accurately every time.
Yeah, and what Belichick does so well, that this is his reputation, is he looks at a defense and he knows how to dissect them. He knows how to dissect them and pull them apart because that's just who he is. He's a surgeon. Pulls them away. That's why it worked with Tom, because Tom was the guy. Belichick, I've always said, is an architect. Brady was the builder that made the blueprint that Belichick put in place work, because his mindset and his plans he has on the table, Tom Brady was able to implement it and successfully build it. That's why you look at right now what's going on in Tampa Bay. It's not really, honestly, Tom Brady, because Tom Brady is still putting up real good numbers. It's
Arians. It's the coach.
Yeah, it's Arians because of this no risk it, no biscuit crap. But
and here's a hot take, right? I've been saying this for about 2 weeks now too, right?
Yeah.
I got 2 of them. One, the Buccaneers aren't going to win a playoff game.
Yeah.
And 2, Arians is going to get fired.
Oh yeah, that's not even going to be a doubt. And to be honest, too, they have to do a couple of things. I think he's going to get fired, to be honest, and they're going to look for a better coach that is going to work with this. But I do feel like Tampa Bay needs to look for a quarterback now. They need to look for a quarterback now because you're only getting the last year out of Brady. And honestly,
one more year out of him.
Yep. And Brady's going to hang it up. And Denver should have learned this with Manning. But look at the road. They're not sold on Drew Lock. Drew Lock in the AFC West right now.
There's no way.
Drew Lock in this AFC West, he's the 4th best quarterback in that division. Because you have Patrick Mahomes, you can roll the dices between Justin Herbert and Derek Carr, but Drew Lock is right there as the 4th best quarterback in that division. That's it. And that's where they're not sold on him. But going back to this, But yeah, all these one possession games and all of these like these one touchdown
it's all
losses.
coaching, dude. When you lose close games like that, it's coaching. It's coaching and clock management.
Yes, and let me give you a perfect example, because I follow a bunch of like Chargers content guys, like Chargers Universe, Charger Venue, and five plays I saw that were my takeaways, that Justin Herbert is at his absolute best when you have him throw the slant plays. Because Keenan Allen is one of the most underrated wide receivers, and he's one of the best route runners in the game. Mike Williams is a really good over-the-top receiver, but he's also a deceiver of the defense, because he can make those high catches and at the same time force defenders to double team him, and then it'll outsmart him to where, Keenan, now it's your turn, or it's Jalen Guyton that's going to end up getting open. That's the way that, I see that with Mike Williams. But honestly, there were slant plays that Justin Herbert threw where they were slant ins or slant outs. And I'm like, Lynn, why are we not doing this majority of the time? I'm not saying you have to throw the air ball like Bruce Arians' no risk and no biscuit mindset. But if you throw slant plays, because I want him to work midfield, I want him to work middle of the field. But every time this does this, and you see it, every time the Chargers get a first down, run the football, get at least a gain of 1 to 3 yards, throw a screen play over to the running back and lose 2. And I'm like, that's conservative play calling. We should be moving down the field. Like,
no.
let me ask you, does Andy Reid play scared?
No.
Does Sean McVay play scared, or Kyle Shanahan, or even Belichick for that matter? Hell no, they don't. That's why they're like, we are not trying to go backwards to move forward. We are trying to push forward to score and get first downs. And Lynn is so conservative that we can't even do that. And again, Herbert, coming out of Oregon, had a conservative coach until the last year of his senior year, where
when
he
they
played.
Finally let him do they finally took the leash off.
Exactly. And that was where we got the best out of Justin Herbert. Now he's back in the same position again with a conservative coach that he plays scared. And that's why Charger fans are so pissed off, because this kid is playing out of his mind. He is the future of this franchise. And honestly, from top to bottom of this roster, this is Super Bowl worthy. You just don't have the right captain steering the ship. And that's why
you guys haven't had the right coach for a while. A long time.
Didn't, dude. We had Marty Schottenheimer and we went 14-2, and then they let him go for North Turner. I'm like, are you serious?
The 14-2 year was when they ran into the Patriots in the AFC title game, right?
Actually, it was the divisional game.
The divisional game. That's the year that you guys had LaDainian Tomlinson, right?
We had LaDainian Tomlinson, Sean Merriman, Sean Phillips, Jamal Wood. I
was at that game. Was that not exciting, dude? Like,
I was watching it back and forth until that last play where Nate Kading needed to make a field goal, and that broke my heart, because I was just like, we played so hard that we were up to this point that we had to force to kick a field goal, and it doesn't go through.
Yep.
Like, that was a hard-fought battle. But I was emotional at the end of that game, because it was like, we worked so hard that this is where it got us.
That was a good game, though. It was
a great game. And I know at the end, because I know somebody was talking crap, and then that was what lit up Sean Merriman and everybody else, but at the same time,
you're talking the fight at the end, right?
The fight at the end.
Yeah.
But of course they were very passionate, but here's the thing. Even if they got rid of Schottenheimer and then go with North Turner, that following year, that was the year that the Patriots were trying to do the impossible. They were trying to win the entire season, including the Super Bowl, undefeated. They were trying to break the Miami Dolphins record. And again, Chargers faced the Patriots in the AFC Championship game in 2007, where Phillip Rivers tore his ACL. But here's the problem that has been the Chargers' problem for years. This happened with Dan Fouts. This happened with Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers. That offensive line has never been great in 30 years.
Nope.
And it was terrible.
That's always been one of you guys' weakest points was the O-line.
Oh yeah, because if you think about it, but you move a lot when you talk. But when we had Dan Fouts, they had a hell of an offense with Don Coryell. I mean, the quote-unquote Air Coryell offense with Charlie Joyner, Kellen Winslow. That team was stacked, and they had a hell of a defense. But the fact that Kellen Winslow gets hurt, and then the offensive line cannot protect Dan Fouts, that's what lost their chances of winning a Super Bowl in the 80s, man. And that was where majority of that defense went to San Francisco, and they won more Super Bowls with Joe Montana.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to Drew Brees, because they had to go through Doug Flutie and Jim Harbaugh until they finally got their quarterback. And the same thing, the shoulder injury with Drew Brees. And then, of course, the 2004 draft where they ended up getting Phillip Rivers in the middle of it, and it became a quarterback controversy. It was not Drew Brees' issue. Drew Brees has a hell of an arm, and he's capable of leading this team. The problem is you don't have protection around him. And at that time with the shoulder injury, they were just like, they were done. And they move off him. He goes to New Orleans. He's successful in New Orleans, and they win a Super Bowl. And the Chargers were looking back at, wow, it may not have been Brees. Exactly. Because you don't have an offensive line to protect him. And you did the same thing with Phillip Rivers in that championship game where he tore his ACL, and he still kept on playing, risking it because he's a competitor and he wants to win. But you do the same thing. Now here's Justin Herbert. The offensive line, this is why I was excited about it, because it got better. It's not great yet, but it got better. They got Trey Turner, they got Brian Bulaga, and they got a bunch of young guys that are stepping up. I think if you add one more offensive line piece, then we've got protection for our franchise quarterback for the next 7 years, in my opinion. But this is where the Chargers and their head coaching job, they cannot screw this up. The Lakers went big with Anthony Davis and LeBron James. They won a championship. The Dodgers had Cody Bellinger, but after they heard about the Lakers getting Anthony Davis, they went and got Mookie Betts, and they made the headliners, and they won the World Series. The Rams made a huge decision to go and get Jalen Ramsey, pairing him.
Speaking of that, he is playing out of his freaking mind this
year. There
year.
is a reason for that, because even though knowing Aaron Donald is ridiculous, dude, at the line with him and Michael Brockers, Jalen Ramsey is a hell of an athlete. He is a hell of an athlete, but that's where the Rams made the headliner. And then finally, the Clippers, they go and get Kawhi Leonard. And then now because they want more competitive play with the Lakers in the Western Conference. And it's unfortunate because he's not a vocal leader.
They're trying to keep pace with the rest of the programs in LA.
And this is what happens when you move to Los Angeles. It either makes you or breaks you. And that's where when it breaks you massively. And that is why the Chargers, they can't screw this up. You need to go big or go home. Because at this point, if you pay for a hell of a head coach, and these are my picks: Eric Bieniemy, Urban Meyer, and Bill Belichick. Those are my 3 head coaches for the Chargers job.
Wait. Run option 3 by me again? One more time?
Bill Belichick.
No, there is no way he would.
Yes.
There's no way he would ever leave here.
You said this about Tom Brady. All Patriot fans said this about Tom Brady. He's not leaving. He ain't going nowhere. He's Boston for life. And then he settled up in South Florida. And he's smiling. He's having a good time. Now, obviously, Arians, he's a risky guy, but at the same time, Tom is happy. He got what he wanted. This is what he was trying to give the Patriots, that indication. I need wide receivers. I need these guys, because it's nothing against Edelman and it's nothing against any of the other wide receivers. But since Randy Moss, You guys have not had a star wide receiver.
No, they've
dealt
with like a bunch of C+, B+ guys.
Yeah, and don't get me started with Antonio Brown. We're not going to go there, okay? We're not going to go there, okay? He was a big-time head case. But all these guys, they did not have a superstar wide receiver because at the end of it, you settle for a draft pick in N'Keal Harry, who he was injured all from last season, and then he comes into this year, and now I don't. Now
I'm the N'Keal Harry, the N'Keal Harry experiment's over. I think it's.
I
don't think he can play in this league. I really don't.
Yes, and this is where I'm just like, you said this about Tom Brady before, and Tom Brady left. What is to say that Bill Belichick doesn't deserve that? Because this is my takeaway. This is my takeaway, and all of our Patriot fans here in the comments, listen very carefully, because I know one of them just said, Colin Cowherd, stop it. Listen very carefully. Belichick, when Tom was there, he knew the timetable for Tom was coming soon. And all he was trying to do was find the next man up for when that time comes around. Respectfully, you move on with Tom Brady. He's already got his accolades. He's already got his championship, and he's one of the greats. And he tried this experiment with Matt Castle, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Jacoby Brissett. Matt Castle, he was efficient. That's all Belichick wanted him to be, was efficient at his position. What happened there? He then goes to Kansas City in that weird year, I believe it was like in 2010, 2011, where everyone in the AFC West was having such issues, and yet the Kansas City Chiefs, who were not a great team, with Castle, they somehow win the division. That was the most embarrassing year ever. But that's where he goes. Then there's Jimmy Garoppolo. He tried that experiment with him. Garoppolo did get hurt, and then he tries the experiment with Jacoby Brissett, and it was still efficient. And he was trying to prove a point to the ownership and Robert Kraft that we need to make this decision to protect our future of this franchise. Because, of course, we're going to move off our quarterback. It's natural. Teams do it all the time.
Yeah,
but instead,
and Belichick's always been about that. He'd rather move on from a guy too soon than too late.
Yeah, and this is where Belichick tried. I don't
think the Chargers could. Like, you would have to mortgage a lot. Like, I mean a lot.
But and here's where I get my feedback in this one, because for as long as covering the Chargers and watching this team since I was 7 years old, Dean Spanos, I mean, he spends money like a Jew. He doesn't spend big bucks. I don't know if Kraft
would ever let it, like, whatever Spanos is willing to spend, I could almost guarantee Kraft would. They would literally have to pry him out of Foxborough.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though, because this is where this matchup is a testament to Bill Belichick. It's a testament.
Yeah.
Because all through this week before Sunday's big game, he has done nothing but in the last 10, 15 minutes of an interview, he has high-praised Joey Bosa, Keenan Allen, and most of all, he's high-praised Justin Herbert. Because he tried to experiment with young quarterbacks to saving a Patriots franchise's future, and Robert Kraft traded all of them because of his quote-unquote loyalty to Tom. That's why it's the Patriots' downfall because of that. If that didn't happen, Jimmy G would already be your quarterback right now. And you wouldn't go through this problem because you have an offensive line that's capable of protecting their quarterback. They've done it for years. Belichick's been an ace for that. But
the two positions going through the years that he's drafted very well at have been defensive cornerback in particular, and offensive line. Those are the ones that he's been really good at.
Yeah, because he's a pass shutdown type of guy. That's why he trusts guys like Stephon Gilmore, the McCourty brothers, and if you want to go all the way back, I mean Asante Samuel, and a lot of these guys in the secondary. I mean, it was the most shut down secondary the Patriots has always had for years, and they're very protective.
He's been good. He's been good throughout the years with the with the secondary and the offensive line. That's kind of been his go-to drafts. The thing that hurts him is the skilled guys, the running backs and the receivers. He hasn't really. He's been very, very very either really, really hot with those guys or ice cold. And he'll go through. Yeah. He's gone through stints, and right now he's in a stint where he hasn't drafted those skilled guys that good in a couple of years now.
Yeah, and this is the thing, and that's the reason why, and that's why Tom left. Because of the fact of knowing that, because they did not have a Pro Bowl receiver since Rob Gronkowski. I'll be honest. That's the last guy that they had as a Pro Bowl. Everybody else, like N'Keal Harry and
he swung and missed on Sony Michel. Big time swing and miss. I think first round running backs. You want to know the major difference between Sony Michel and Damian Harris? Damian Harris doesn't need a fullback in front of him. They can line him up 6 yards behind Cam Newton, hand him the football, and he will, even if he's hit behind the line of scrimmage, he's going to get back to the line or get plus yardage. Sony Michel needs that fullback in front of him to get that positive yardage.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's the
biggest difference.
When I watched that monsoon game against Baltimore, and one of my colleagues and I, we were covering it on our live stream. When I seen Damian Harris bust through that defensive line that quick, I was just like, yo, I hadn't seen a running back do that probably since Lawrence Maroney.
Well, good first round running backs shouldn't. Here's why I don't like Sony Michel. Good like a solid first round running back, a first round pick running back should not need a fullback in front of him to make him look good. He should just be good and not need that, you know? Sony Michel needed, as soon as you took Devlin away from Sony Michel, you saw what he turned, like we all saw what he had turned into. He couldn't get the numbers that he did with Devlin in front of him.
So then let me ask you then.
Is Sony Michel very good once he gets into the second level of reading a block and utilizing the jump cut? Absolutely. But he's not strong enough to get into the second level by himself.
So then let me ask you, do you think that the Patriots may have made a mistake going with Sony Michel out of Georgia instead of his
Nick Chubb? I would have picked Nick Chubb. Yep.
I agree. Yeah. Oh, hell yeah, dude. I mean, 100%. Nick Chubb's having a hell of a year in Cleveland right now that even, Cleveland, after going through Freddie Kitchens and now having Kevin Stefanski, they're having one of the best years that they've ever had in their franchise for God knows when. So
let's jump into this, Jake. So we're going to go 3 up and 3 down. So what are the 3 strongest points of the Chargers right now?
So the 3 strongest points of the Chargers that I see with them right now, I'll start up at the bottom with number 3. I think number 3, their best parts. I think their best parts that they've had this year has got to be. It's got to be the offensive line. They have stepped up in a big way, and I know there are questions about Trey Pipkins and company, and even how long Trey Turner had been out until we finally see him in the interior offensive line. But they did a good job.
Like you guys' sorry to interrupt. I don't like that right tackle that you guys have. I think he's inconsistent.
I've seen
him miss a few. I've seen him whiff on a few blocks.
Yeah, he's whiffed on a few blocks. But however, I mean, if you look at the blind side. Yeah, it's getting better. I mean, if you look at the blind side from the left side of the line, that got better because the second they got Brian Bulaga from Green Bay on 3 years, I was just like, dude, this guy has protected Aaron Rodgers for a long time, and he's very efficient at his position. And then now they are experimenting a lot of guys. Sam Tevy to me is hit or miss in some ways. But this is where you have to utilize the guy's strengths. Is his feet fast enough to be on the tackle position? Because you have to be aware. That's where the defensive ends come in to collapse the pocket. Is his feet fast enough to prepare for that to block? Or are you a guy who's only just being a cushion on the interior that you're just giving your quarterback the
take up space basically on the interior of the line.
Yeah, and that could be anything. It's whether a pass or a run game. Mm-hmm. That's the one thing that I look at. Number two has definitely been the offensive weaponry. It has been the offensive weaponry because Keenan Allen, one of the most underrated wide receivers in this league. This guy creates space for himself, and he's got one of the best route running skills that causes a lot of defenders to turn, like, to basically, they're confused. They're confused. They get outsmarted, and that's where Keenan always finds a way to get himself open. Mike Williams, I know he had been injured here and there, but he is capable of making those over-the-top plays.
When healthy, Williams is very good.
Healthy, yes, he is very, very good. But here's the other thing, my steal of it, Jalen Guyton stepped up in a big way because originally, like back in 2018, Tyrell Williams was the guy that got open at least either in the slot or he was a guy that you could utilize as well deep downfield. And Guyton is a guy that I think is when the receivers, the big ones like Allen and Williams, they serve as deceivers. Guyton is right there open. And he serves as your secondary receiver to get open. And I love this kid. I think this kid stepped up in a huge way. Now, I'm still expecting guys like KJ Hill and a couple of others. And I have seen a little bit of Tyron Johnson get open as well. But this receiving core and Hunter Henry as our tight end has got better. And I'm seeing more and more of Hunter Henry on the field. And I'm so happy of it because he had been injured in the first couple of years, but eventually he got better. And then finally, the number one, definitely quarterback.
Henry, I thought in the offseason, before you guys had locked him up, I was like, I had thought the Patriots should go after him. The Patriots should go after Hunter Henry.
Oh, the Patriots, they either had him or they had because I know they were talking a lot about O.J. Howard because honestly, I said the two because New England
they were linked to a couple of guys. They were linked to the two guys down in Tampa, the Brate and
I think Cameron Brate would have been a better option.
Brate, and then they were linked at the very end of free agency. They were trying to make a push for Kyle Rudolph down there in Minnesota. They were linked with a bunch of guys, but I honestly said Henry would have been a perfect big body tight end for Cam to throw to over the middle, in the seam like I think he would have matched really well here. And the Patriots desperately need a tight end.
Oh, here's what Vegas, the sports fanatic, would have said here is Patriots could have got Austin Hooper.
Yeah.
I'm not disregarding that. I think Austin Hooper would have been really good.
They were linked to a bunch of tight ends in the offseason because they
needed to fill in that hole.
They were trying to desperately to fill that talent void.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they needed to fill that in because after Gronk retired and left, that was a hole that was, the Patriots' weakness right there because they don't have a guy who's a secondary blocker and at the same time a secondary receiver to give them first downs when needed, especially third down conversion opportunities.
Carson, Evan Ingram, really? I wouldn't trade Evan Ingram for a half-eaten bag of chips, a bent paperclip, and some pocket lint. Seriously.
Oh my God, Evan Ingram.
Keep that
Lord.
dude as far away from this team as possible. Evan Ingram.
Wait a minute here. Everett from the Rams? Really?
I don't
know about that. I don't know about that.
But that's so now that we did 3 up, how about 3 down? What do you think 3 weaknesses are?
So my number 3 weakness here on this one. Well, just to basically finish up on the number 1 with the quarterback, because Phillip Rivers,
Justin Herbert, is number 1 on
Phillip
that team.
Rivers was so mistake prone. This is why that I said the Chargers
what do you
need
think?
to move off
Every other fan base in the NFL when they would play the Chargers would be like, "Where's Rivers' fourth quarter, crappy timed interception throw coming up?"
Oh God, that river droughted a long time ago, man. That's why I was just like, they needed to move off him. They need to rip the bandage because listen, the Giants, when Eli Manning was still there, they needed to rip the bandage and go with Daniel Jones, and it's clearly working right now.
And move forward, yeah. Yep.
Exactly, and this is what the Chargers needed to do. So they go and get this quarterback product from Oregon at number 6, which I was very comfortable with because everybody asked me, do you trust Tyrod Taylor? Who is your quarterback? It's confusing because we don't even know.
I had talked about it when you picked him. We were talking about it when you picked him.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, you and I were having conversations about it, and I said this is not
because I was like, "There's no way he's going to let." Yeah, there's no way. I have no faith in Tyrod.
Yeah, because here's the thing: is Tyrod Taylor had an opportunity to be a franchise quarterback, but the problem is he had so many concussions in Buffalo. He had so many concussions in Buffalo.
He got beat up in New York pretty good.
Oh, yeah. And then here's the thing. This is why he's used to this because, number one, you saw what happened in Cleveland where they had to move off of him to move in for Baker Mayfield. Now, clearly, we all know Baker Mayfield's limitations. We already know that. That's not the strength of this Cleveland team and why they're 8-3. But it is unfortunate the way it happened because – obviously, the medical staff, I mean, that doctor got fired right away. Second, how do you miss that an injection that all of a sudden punctures a guy's lung? Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. but hey, that's Tyrod Taylor.
I just remember reading that, and I was like, that's like a freak. Like, how do you do that? You know, like I remember just read like how do you do that? You know, like how do you puncture a guy's lung trying to give him a shot?
Well, that's 2020 for you. I mean, 2020 has been a year of screw ups. Yeah. So, but this is where I'm like, it was unfortunate, but at the same time, still had to be something that needed to happen because now that you saw a lot of Justin Herbert playing in those 5-6 games, it's impossible to sit down talent like that because you look at what's happened with Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, and Joe Burrow took us all by surprise, and he is a franchise quarterback. Just the problem is he's in a bad ran franchise that just does not protect their quarterbacks. It happened with Carson Palmer.
I felt so bad for him because, like, put him on any other one of these like halfway decent teams that are looking for a quarterback. Like put him on like the Broncos.
Yeah, I mean, you put him on the Broncos to be honest, and like the Broncos would have been very efficient because with
Burrow running the show, they would have been pretty good.
Then at that point, the AFC West would have been stacked. It would have been the greatest division in NFL right now. Like Mahomes, Herbert, Derek Carr, Joe Burrow. I mean, my God, like that is talent right there. That's where everybody's going to tune in to AFC West majority of the time because they love the showdowns. But
I felt bad for Burrow going to Cincinnati because like you had said it at the beginning of the season, and even I had questions like that O-line for Cincy is terrible.
It's terrible. And think about it this way. I mean, look at what happened with Carson Palmer years ago. Yeah. Carson Palmer came up to the front office and he said, "You better trade me or I'm forcing retirement." Yeah. Because he needed to get out of that terrible ran franchise because they don't protect him. They don't protect him at all. And it's unfortunate because he had weapons around him. I mean, he had Chad Johnson and he had TJ Hushmanzada and a lot of guys there. It was so unfortunate. Yeah. And that was where you couldn't blame Carson Palmer at the end of it. He was trying to stay healthy and he's still an efficient quarterback. But at the end of the road, like he got better in Arizona, but then of course things kind of fell off the wagon once Arians was more of a risk-it guy.
Yeah.
You know, but that was the unfortunate thing for Joe Burrow. And I really, really hope that this opens Cincinnati's eyes to get better at that line. That is your franchise quarterback. You need to protect him.
Yeah.
Tua, on the other hand, everybody had concerns of his hip because they were like, we're not sure if he's going to be healthy or if he can see through and actually make the plays. Now, obviously Miami, and this is not a dig. This is actually more of just in a coaching tree of Belichick, Brian Flores can coach. Brian Flores is a hell of a coach. And I think that was a steal for Miami because the defense got so much better under Flores. From 2019 in those last 6 games, they won 5 of them. And then they come in this year and they got so much better.
So did you do number 3 for your
Not yet. So my number 3 with the downs.
Yeah.
Number 3 of the downs is the injuries. The injuries have played a huge factor for the Chargers because now
for years now, dude.
Years. For years.
Like, ever since, I want to say, going back to the LT injury.
Yeah.
I would say you guys have been hurt.
Gates have been injured. Sean Merriman had been injured. A lot of these guys have been offensively, defensively, they've been hurt.
Because if I think back to the good Charger teams, like ill-timed injuries have crushed the momentum that you guys had.
Oh yeah,
in those years.
I mean, think about it. Like, look at what's happening right now in Philadelphia. I mean, my God, Philadelphia is going through. They've got lawn chairs for wide receivers playing again, and then you talk about, well, is it Carson Wentz or is it the coaching staff? What the hell's going on?
I don't think it's Wentz. I don't
think it's Wentz either.
No,
and people get sick of it when I defend him so much because I'm just like, hold on.
My worry for him, though, is that organization is going to ruin him so bad that he's not going to be able to recover from it.
And you know what I said? You know what I said? I put a hot take on my show one night. I said, because John Elway, he's on his last ropes. He's got to get this quarterback thing right. Because since Manning retired, you had Trevor Siemian, you had Paxton Lynch, you have Drew Lock, you have all these other quarterbacks, and you're not sold on either of them. So if you want to do yourself a favor and save your job, go get Carson Wentz.
Pull him out of Philly, yeah.
Pull him out of Philly and bring him to Denver. Because he's got receivers, he's got offense, and they got a better offensive line that is capable of staying healthy than Philadelphia is. Vic Fangio, he can shape him to be a better quarterback. And so the injuries have very much plagued this team for years. Yeah. Derwin James, for the second time already, I'm losing him in the year. Mm-hmm. And he's such a good shutdown secondary. Like, he's unbelievable. He's a guy that can tackle. He's a guy that can intercept passes. And he's a guy he's just an offensive disruptor, whether it's in the pass game or whether it's in the run game. He does everything. And then, of course, we've had some injuries with the corners, like Casey Hayward's been hurt. He has not looked 100%. Melvin Ingram now is done for the year, but that's not a big worry for me because, honestly, at the end of the year, he's going to walk. And I'm not.
I was just going to say he's out of there. He's out of there though. At the end of the year, he's done.
Yeah, he's definitely out of there.
He's going to go get his money from somebody. Will pay him. He'll go get his money somewhere.
Yeah, and number 2's down. The linebacking position. We're still not sold on the linebacking position, even though I love Kenneth Murray. And I spoke a lot about him since the draft because when I watched him, he's the only product in Oklahoma of all programs in the Big 12 that plays defense.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Lincoln Riley is such an offensive genius. He makes it happen on the offense, but the defense always for Oklahoma is hit or miss. They are never that good on defense.
Yeah.
But Kenneth Murray was the only person coming out of that program that looked really good. I said he's like Darius Leonard because he is a high motor tackling machine. He's a guy that when somebody's got the football in their hands, whether it's a quarterback or the run game, he's getting after him. He's getting after him. He's very high-motored. But Denzel Perryman, again, can't stay healthy majority of the time. And that's what's kind of wasting away the contract. Now, Kaiser White has stepped up in a way, but he still has to develop. And then you've got Achinawasu.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the linebacking position is still not set in stone. But I think
you're
maybe
still young at that position, too, though. You gotta remember that.
Oh, yeah, it's still
really
young
there, too. So
yeah, so I think a lot more development needs to happen, and I think we'll be good. And then finally, I think you're already ready for the number 1.
Yep. I think
the number 1 down.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you already know it. It is this mother effing coaching staff.
Yep.
This mother effing coaching staff because Anthony Lynn, Gus Bradley,
They're like a boat anchor for this team.
Oh my God. Like this is the reason why that I'm just like, this team is way too good for their record. They are way too good for their record. It's embarrassing because all these conservative play calls where it's screen after screen, like You throw a midfield pass, you get a first down, then it's run, screen, pass, run, screen. What the hell are you doing, Anthony? And then at the same time, there were a lot of mistakes he's made. Calling a timeout with 10 minutes left in the game and all just to settle for a freaking field goal. Are you out of your mind?
Yeah.
Like all this stuff. And then nobody at the end, like at the time where the Chargers needed a touchdown badly, nobody was running.
Yeah.
Nobody was running to go and score. And I was just like, are you serious? But that's the problem of not cracking the whip. And this is what's bad about it. The post game, at the end of it, when they asked him about the timeout, he just turns around.
You could see that he's just defeated. He is at this point.
And this is where I was like, this was my last straw. In practice, when he had his interview, and I don't know if you saw that, he literally told media, the team is working to get better, but our chances of making the playoffs are out the window.
Wait, he said that to the media?
Yes. I'm like, are you serious? Who in the hell says that? Like, that's where I'm just like, this is the reason why the team looks so defeated is because their leader is defeated. And that's where
all that negativity is probably just leaching through the
all
team.
All of it. And that's why I'm just like, we are playing a season that feels like we don't even deserve Herbert. And that's where I'm just like, this kid needs a better coach. He deserves better than this. All of them do. And that's why none of them are motivated. Because think about it. Joey Bosa, he called the team out before the Jets game. He calls the team out, but yet he gets hit with penalties. And then he gets fined for one of the two roughing the passer penalties. And it's just like, dude, you're calling the team out, but yet you can't hold yourself accountable for your own mistakes. Do yourself a favor, shut your mouth, and play.
Just play. Just play your game,
Yeah, just play. Like that's all you need. And that's where they got to have better coaching staff. And that's where that's my number one down. And trust me, I know it. Some Charger fans, wherever they are, they know it, and it's embarrassing. And this is why, again, people say, oh, we hate the Patriots. We hate the Patriots. It's not the same feeling when it comes to the Chargers. Everybody hates the Chargers. They pick on the Chargers. They're easy to pick on, and that's why I'm just like, I've been living with this since I was 7 years old, and I'm waiting for the time. I'm waiting for the time to laugh back at all the doubters and the critics.
All right, now I'm going to give you mine, and I'll give you my 3 up and 3 down, and I want to hear your opinion from an outsider's point of view.
Sure.
So, we'll start with the 3 positive. The 3 ups, the coaching staff. They still have McDaniels. They still have Belichick.
Yep.
Still, those 2 are still solid, very solid offensive, they're still very solid coaches at what they do. There's plenty of knowledge there between the 2, and they're doing everything they can. Although McDaniels does kind of try and get too overly cute sometimes, and I think Bill kind of has to realign his priorities a little bit at half. Mm-hmm. But overall, I wouldn't trade him for. I think Josh is still a good offensive coordinator, and I think they're doing whatever. I think he's doing whatever he can
And I just feel like with Josh McDaniels, and the more that I see him,
you could tell with him that he's incredibly dialed this. Like, he took that playbook and probably cut it into like, they're probably playing 25% of the plays of that entire playbook because of the situation with no offseason and Cam coming in at the very last second.
Yeah.
But they're doing the best they can. They're doing the best they can with him. So
yeah, and to be honest, this is a better version of Josh McDaniels since the Denver Josh McDaniels. This has been a much, much better version of him.
Well, McDaniels tried to go to Denver and like, he went to Denver and he got, he did his head coaching gig. Some guys in the NFL are just meant to be brilliant coordinators, whether it's defensive coordinators. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can still be a brilliant coach and be a coordinator your whole career. Like, like Dante Scarnecchia, the offensive line coach for the Patriots, is one of the best coaches to ever coach a position on a football team. He's one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL, if not the best.
Yeah.
You can do that just fine. And I think Josh is just one of those guys that he is an incredibly good coordinator. I just don't think he's just I just don't think he's head coach material, but there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being he's still really good at what he does.
Oh yeah, so, and that's the thing is, even if the gigs as head coach don't work out, but yet on your resume you're still a hell of a coordinator,
you're still going to get other jobs. You're going to get other jobs.
You're going to get other jobs because of it. That's not something to be discouraged about at all, because it's and of course it's constant working with yourself. You've experienced it, you've gained some knowledge behind it, and now you're working to get better in a coordinating position until the next time comes around.
Yeah. So the number two. No, yeah. So that's the coaching is definitely pretty much every coach coordinator outside of maybe Kansas City and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's offensive coordinator. When it comes to offensive coordinator, there's very few coach duos between coach and offensive coordinator that are better than those two. Since
very
they've
true.
worked together. So I'll in almost every matchup the Patriots are going to have this year, they're going to have the upper hand in that. They're going to have that upper hand. So I'll give them to that. I'll give them, and obviously Bill and Josh have been with it. They work well with one another. They communicate all the time. They're constantly talking to one another about, if they have to change the scheme or do whatever they have to.
Yep. Make adjustments.
Number two would have to be, although they have been shaky, it's got to be the defensive secondary of this team. When J.C. Jackson and when Stephon Gilmore and when Devin McCourty, those three guys, when they're on and they're playing well, they're you can throw as an honorable mention in there Jones, the kid Jones. When those guys are playing well, they're tough to throw against. They're tough to move the ball against.
Yeah.
That's a tough second. When they're playing well, they're on. And they're there's you're going to have a tough day at the office throwing against them. So I would say, and in almost every matchup they've come up against this year, they've matched up well against, the guys. There's been a few games where they haven't played well and blown a few coverages, but overall on the season, I'll put them
and to be honest, because I remembered when the Patriots had first got Stephon Gilmore, I mean, you guys were getting him at a time where he was hitting his prime. He was hitting his prime out of Buffalo.
Jake, the Patriots don't make moves like that. They paid him $60 million.
No, they don't.
They don't usually make moves like that. So to see them spend money on a guy like that and go out and get, spend that big money, it was definitely like out of the ordinary for them to do that.
Oh yeah. And seeing
JC that kid JC Jackson has a bright future on this team.
He's got a bright future. I mean, seeing as a shutdown secondary, man, he's got such a bright future. But here's the other thing of it too. They have experience with their secondary because
Devin McCourty's the general of that secondary.
Yes, he is.
See, I don't like his brother Jason. I think he gets beat a lot. I think J.C. Jackson should be starting on that other side opposite Gilmore. Sure. I would rather play Jones over Jason McCourty. I would rather have it J.C. Jackson, Stephon Gilmore, Jones and McCourty be the guys, be the guys on the defensive backs in the backfield. And then Kyle Duggar is into his own. I think he's still learning the pass. I think he's still learning how to read the pass as well. When he comes out into the box and plays the run, he's an animal against the run like that. He is not afraid to come up and hit these running backs, and it doesn't matter how big or how fast. He's not afraid to come up and step into a gap and take on a running back, which is, for a guy, like that, like to play with no fear like that. That's looking at Kyle Duggar, I mean, he's kind of he's a run stopping specialist.
That's
what I mean. So on that, like that aspect of his game has been spectacular, but I do think there's some learning gaps when it comes to the passing game and how to read a zone and how to be able to, because he has gotten beat a couple of times, and you could tell it was his fault. He misread he wasn't in the right spot at the right time. He misread the D or misread the call. You could tell it was on him.
And he holds himself accountable and then shakes it off and tries to, pick himself back up any way he can.
But I do like Duggar. I do like the ceiling it goes. So I'm going to say number 2 is the defensive secondary. Mm-hmm. And then probably number 1 would be the O-line. Even as patchwork as the offensive line has been, they still manage to play well, especially in the run. When they run with Harris not so much the stretch blocking schemes, but when they pull and when they trap and they pull, Shaq Mason's one of the best pulling guards I've seen in the NFL. When he pulls and when they execute those trap plays for Harris, dude, there's holes you can drive a truck through.
Oh yeah, and I've seen the best out of Damian Harris to running through an offensive line like that. And here's the other guy that I even think it's a good mention, because there was so much buzz around him, is Joe Thuney.
Thuney's by far Thuney and Andrews are the two biggest strengths we have. Those two guys on the O-line.
Because I just feel like that if the Patriots were to trade away Joe Thuney, even if you got draft picks out of him, that would have been the biggest mistake for them. Yeah. Because that would have left a gap now that Andrews has to
talent deficiency on the line. Massive talent void.
And then Andrews would have had to do double, if not triple the work in order to patch up that hole. And, look at what's happening in Dallas. I mean, Dallas, when Travis Frederick ended up retiring, now this offensive line, they have a hole and they busted through the hole. And, Zach Martin now is hurt. Now this offensive line becomes outdated. And that's where they have to now reshape it. The Patriots, luckily, did not make that trade happen.
And here's the thing too. If Thuney moved, if they traded Thuney, Andrews can play guard too. He can. David Andrews can play a guard. He had to last year. When there was injuries on the line, they moved Ted Karras to center, and then one of the years he had to play a guard for a few games, and he could do it. But Andrews is the center. That guy. I don't think it was last year, but
he's obviously going to be the man that controls the line, because the second you got the football in your hand, you now are rallying your troops right there at the front line that your job is to protect your franchise quarterback at all costs. And the second that ball is snapped,
and let's be honest, the center is the general of the offensive line. He calls the shots. He runs the O-line. He calls the protection out. He sets it up for the quarterback.
Oh yeah, to be honest, as a Charger fan, the guy that I trusted so much in the center was Nick Hardwick. Mm-hmm. That guy was so athletic, but he was also a guy who was verbal. He was a guy that was verbal, that if anybody made mistakes, he's calling you out on your mistakes, and he's telling you, listen and figure it out, because we've got to protect our quarterback any way that we can. You got to stop those defensive rushes from getting to our quarterback. And that's what the offensive line in New England has been successful of doing that for years. That's why even when Tom was there, you didn't see a touch out of Tom at all.
Well, look at the O-lines over the years they've had. Matt Light, Dan Copen, when they had Light, Copen, and all, that group from 2000 to 2006, that was.
Oh yeah.
The Patriots have been very lucky with their offensive lines. Damian Woody, Dan Copen, Matt Light. Yep. The Patriots have been very lucky with the offensive lines they've had over the years, that they've been consistently good.
And think about it this way. They also had specialists at the tight end position, because, to be honest, the three tight ends I can think of,
Ben Coates, Gronkowski, and
I'll say a little bit of Kyle Brady. Kyle Brady was kind of built up top, but he was more of a guy that I think, in my opinion, was a blocker. I think he was more meant to being a blocker than he was of being a receiving tight end, in my opinion. Because I remember seeing so many times of Kyle Brady, and I'm like, I don't see Kyle Brady being like an offensive guy. Like, not that we're used to seeing right now with like a George Kittle or a Dallas Goedert or even, Hunter Henry. I just never saw Kyle Brady like that. I saw him more as a protective tight end.
All right,
yeah.
So those are my 3 up. Now we're going to go the 3 down. All right?
All right.
So the first weakness, the I'm going to be specific with this one. The linebacking core when it comes to pass coverage. They have no cover linebackers. Uche is still very young, and he's making a lot of mistakes out there in pass coverage.
He's still developing.
He's still developing. I'm not saying he's going to be bad. He's going to be bad, but it's a definite weak spot on the defense. Uche's learning on the fly, literally having to learn on the fly how to cover these guys, and he's running all over the freaking field, all like
everywhere.
Yeah, so that's the first one. The linebacking core when it comes to pass coverage, the middle of the field for us, we have been eaten alive in the middle of the field all season long, especially in the last month.
Yeah. It's been very, very bad in midfield.
All right, Christine, have a good night. Thanks for hanging out with us. Appreciate that.
She thinks it's going to be 27-20. Okay. I'm not shying away from that score. I like it.
But so I had to be specific about that because against the run, Uche and Bentley stuffed that one at the goal line last time. It was Bentley and Lawrence Guy.
Yeah, he did.
That hit at the goal line from Bentley was that hit. Lawrence Guy had him around the ankles. What a play! And Bentley came in right at the end and it was a perfect middle line, right up into the gap, and just that dude hit that gap and stopped dead in his tracks. There was no forward progress for him whatsoever. Go. That's the perfect play.
Mm-hmm.
So the run coverage, the Patriots run defense when it comes to, the linebackers in the front four is good. It's just that when they throw into the flats and you
just don't have a cover guy at that point that can scan the quarterback and just wait for midfield passes and just expect, especially when you got two guys in cover and that is their biggest. On the defense, on the defensive point of the ball. That's one of the most glaring talent voids. Is they need to find a linebacker or two that can at least run with some of these tight ends and running backs. At least make it competitive. I mean, they don't have to knock every ball away, but at least make it hard for them to catch it. And they can't even do that right now. They're struggling in that. So that's going to be the first one for sure. They have to in the offseason. That has got to be a priority for them. They have to find a cover linebacker. And I'm sure that they're going to end up reevaluating with some of the linebackers that they have because I do like Chase Winovich. I think he as a
pass rusher off the edge, he's dangerous.
I think quick. To me, honestly, he's a better version of Melvin Ingram. To be honest, he's a better version of him because him being the pass rush linebacker there on that side,
he's fast.
He's fast. He is very, very fast, and so. I'm excited for him. I think they need to reevaluate that with their coverages, but you're absolutely right. I think if they get one more piece in there, a guy who knows how to cover and scan the field, then that'll solve the Patriots' problem with midfield.
Because Bentley is a perfect middle linebacker. The dude is a perfect. He's like a better version of what Brandon Spikes used to be.
That's a fact. That is true.
You know what I mean? Bentley's just a better version of Brandon Spikes.
Yep.
A younger, better version of what Brandon Spikes was. But we need that guy like Kyle Van Noy that could run with some of these guys. And
that was a big loss, right?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We lost. Yeah. Van Noy was that cover guy. Was the cover linebacker, and a lot of Patriot fans were saying that one was going to hurt when we lost him. That one was going to hurt.
My God, that linebacking core. Every time I looked at New England, it had Kyle Van Noy, it had Gerard Mayo, it had a bunch of those guys there. And once they're gone, they got torched.
Yeah,
you could not replace them.
So that's the like that to me. That's the like the glaring one. That's like the one that stands out the most because if you watch when you do the game, watch the middle of the field.
Oh yeah,
it that 8 yard that 4 to 9 yard gap is.
I mean I honestly watched that
wide open across the field. It's
I seen a ton of times in that game against Baltimore and watching
wide open.
Open.
The tight ends killed him. The tight ends Andrews killed them.
Andrews killed it. Yeah. But you know what though? I will say though, man, when I did that live stream, God, I hope and pray Nick Boyle is good, dude, because when I watched that tackle, I knew for a second, dude, that was bad. Yeah. And the second that the guy was just like, get him here now, get a medical staff here now, dude, because that backwards.
Oh, you're talking the hit on Rex, right? You're talking the hit on.
God, yes.
It was so bad. It was so bad.
Darian and I was like, oh God, no.
It was so bad. It was so bad that they didn't show it on replay. They wouldn't even show it on replay.
And I don't blame them. I do not blame them. That was so gruesome. And at the same time, you saw one Patriot player.
Did you see it? I rewound it on my TV and just like slow. Dude, his knee like snapped. They won't. It's so bad here that Belichick and the team won't release the full extent of the injury. That's how bad it is.
Oh no, hell no. It was so bad, dude. That's why I was just like, I don't blame them at all. Like, I don't even think anybody would have ever wanted to watch that. But I saw that in real time, and I knew like the angle and where it was hit. Oh God, it was bad. It was so bad. Real quick, bad joke. You can look me up at the Snake Sports Talk Show on YouTube. That's where you can find me on my channel. But
Hold on,
it was so bad.
Let me go grab your link. Hold on a sec.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so that's the
third weakness.
That's number 3 is the
linebacking core.
The linebacking core. And then number
I think I kind of know what number 2
3 2 1, right?
Like.
We're going
Yep.
So 2 would have to be sorry, Jake, I'm just trying to grab your link.
Oh, no worries.
So 3 the second one would have to be, I'm going to say I might have to do an honorable mention. I want to say, because I want to make
I'm just gonna say this.
I'll say Cam.
Cam has got to be your. Okay.
I'll say Cam Newton at 2.
I was almost gonna think you were gonna say Cam at 1.
But I might want to do. Yeah. No, I'll take my honorable mention away. So, 2. The 2 is gonna be we're going 2 down, right? That's
we're going 2
That's
up.
Gonna have to be the wide receiver production. Wide receiver.
I agree.
Wide receiver / tight end, because the tight ends have done nothing for them again this year, and the wide receivers, the lack of
wide
outside
receivers
of Jacoby Myers and Demir Bird, that's it. He's got those 2 guys, and let's be honest, they're a wide receiver 3 on any other team.
Yes,
and they're his number. Those 2 guys are his number 1 option, and there's just.
And I do like
Jacoby Myers developing into something that could be a serviceable slot guy? Yeah, but guess what? They have got to get more help.
That's why I mentioned.
They have to get a true number 1. They have to get a true number 1 and a real tight end. This Dalton Keene, Asiasi, Izzo stuff. It's just not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it. The Patriots offense has run like Cam Newton's best friend in Carolina. Who was it?
Oh my
God.
Olsen. Yeah, Greg Olsen.
Greg Olsen.
Yep.
He was his favorite red zone target. He was his favorite target overall. Big body tight end like that can go up and get a football. That's a tight end is a quarterback's best friend.
Yep. Oh yeah. And to be honest, I mean, even when he was up in Carolina,
Cam has had nothing to work with outside of Myers and Bird.
Yeah, he's had absolutely nothing. And this is why that I mentioned before with the wide receiver core. That's why it never made sense to me with New England as to why because majority of the time when I look at the wide receiver core, Patriots always get veteran wide receivers. They never trust their draft picks. And I started to see that like in clear perspective because anytime, like you mentioned, I mean, guys like Jacoby Myers or N'Keal Harry and a lot of these young guys, man, they are so hit or miss with their wide receivers. And that's why I mentioned, because earlier, after Randy Moss, there has never been a superstar wide receiver.
Belichick's been in a real skid with drafting these guys. He can't go these years where he's like 1 for 5 or 1 for 4 on these receivers. Like the team now that Brady's not there to mask, they
never solved the problem even when he was there.
Skilled guys. You need to start hitting on these skill guys. You need to.
Yes. And that's where that's why like it made sense as to why they got veteran guys to fill in as wide receivers, because and this is why that they didn't even figure this out even when Tom was there. And that's why Tom voiced it so much, because it's just like, this is not working. All I'm relying on is like Julian Edelman is obviously like Wes Welker. When Wes Welker and Julian Edelman, they are like mirroring images, because they are guys that can get open when the defense is deceived. That is always a way Belichick likes to pick apart defenses, and that's when he utilizes Edelman so much. After all that,
high percentage throws to guys who are shifty and can get open.
Yes,
that's the receiving core. Those are the guys that make the Patriots, because like Belichick will take a guy. He'll go and get a free agent burner as a guy to take a top off the defense. But the guys that are going to be seeing 80% of those throws are going to be the slot receivers and the tight ends.
This is true. Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I was like, the only way, to be honest, the only way you would have kept Tom, I mean, I look at the situation right now with the Atlanta Falcons, because right now, after the Super Bowl, the Falcons have not been the same. And after Kyle Shanahan, offense has not been the same. And Julio Jones, he deserves another shot at getting into the Super Bowl again. Yep. I'll be honest. And that's why I was just like, I'm surprised that the Patriots did not inquire.
But it's not a Belichickian thing to do, dude. That's not what he does. You know it. Know it. That is not.
I know
That's
it's not him. I know it's not him. But see, that's the thing that drives you nuts. Because, like, let me ask you: when you had Randy Moss, how in the hell did you guys even make that work? How did you even work that deal?
They did make it work. They made it work.
Like, especially with that deal, because I'm like, Randy Moss is coming out of worst years with the Raiders in Oakland, and then he just surprises all of us.
You know what it was too? That was Randy's last chance. That was his last dance. That was his last dance.
That honestly was, because after once he goes to Tennessee and San Francisco, that was it. That was it.
That was his last real legit shot to get a ring on his finger.
Because I can tell you right now, the wide receivers that I think the Patriots had consistency with, Randy Moss was one of them. Edelman, Welker, Deion Branch.
But look at three out of those 4 are smaller, shifty guys that live in the middle of the field.
That's true.
I'm telling you.
That's actually pretty true.
Belichick he will take a guy. He would rather take a guy in free agency, an older guy, maybe on the back end of his career, that can still move, that can still keep a defense honest, and then spend all the other effort in getting. I'm telling you, it's just how he's never been a let's throw it deep kind of guy. The only time Brady has ever, and even Cam, the only time they throw it deep is to keep a defense honest and back them up.
That's true. I actually, that makes a lot of sense.
For 20 seasons, dude, they've always executed that. They will throw deep 5 times a game, and it's strategic to back a defense off to set up a screen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh my God, Maria mentioned it. Brandon Cooks. That's true. Yeah, Brandon Cooks was another guy.
I'm telling you that it's how he's all. He don't take those big deep. He would. You know who I want on this team bad, like real bad. Michael Gallup. out of Dallas.
I'm surprised no move was made. I was very surprised no move was made.
When we were looking for, when I would have given up. I would have given up a first. Like if I knew they were going after N'Keal Harry, I would have said, screw that. Give that pick to Dallas and get Gallup.
Yeah, get Michael Gallup, because now you're looking at Dallas and the mess that Jerry Jones's world is in. Like, you didn't need a wide receiver to figure out your problem. You didn't need CeeDee Lamb. Like, come on,
and,
you know.
Dude, CeeDee Lamb is a different animal. That dude is stupid good.
He's stupid good, but was it Dallas's solution? Hell no, it was not.
Nope.
Because after Byron Jones walked away, the secondary gets burned. The offensive line is outdated, and nobody really can stay healthy, and that's why you paid everybody else, but you don't pay Dak.
Yeah.
And now it's starting to show. But I mean, I would have seen the Patriots getting Michael Gallup. I would have thought would have been like, you're saving Tom. If you got Michael Gallup in there, you're saving Tom.
Yeah, Tom stayed.
Because
if Gallup was there, Tom.
Oh yeah, there would have been no reason for Tom to leave.
All right, so I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna tell you
what was your number one?
Oh, Cam Newton.
Oh yeah, Cam Newton.
Cam's got to with the issues around him. Cam's got to play better. He has got to play better. The inconsistency when Cam's really good, he's good. Like
Cam to me is Russell Westbrook.
The Seattle game. If we could get that Cam Newton on a weekly basis, this team would be very competitive. The Seattle game, the Cam Newton that played in Seattle. If we could get that Cam Newton on a Sunday by Sunday basis, this team would look different. The record would be different, and I'm telling you, they would be competitive. But watching him play is like riding a roller coaster, dude.
That is true, and to be honest,
the inconsistencies are just it's bad. And lately, the last couple of games, if you take that one where he threw for like 370 in it. Out of the mix, dude, he's been bad for like 5 weeks. Like bad.
Oh my God. I can't even begin to tell you how many times, like when Cam Newton got released from Carolina, and I said this to people, like Cam Newton to me is the Russell Westbrook of the NFL.
Yeah.
He is a guy that can be hyper athletic, utilizes his strength and speed, but like Westbrook, can't shoot threes.
Yeah.
Can't throw the deep balls because sometimes it doesn't work for. That's why Greg Olsen was his.
Talked about this off camera. Me and you talked about this off camera. I personally think there's something wrong with the shoulder.
I think so too.
When they ask him to throw footballs over 15 yards, even like a 12-yard crosser where the ball has to come out with velocity. The ball has to come out with velocity and to an exact spot. A timing route, it lands at the guy's feet like 2 yards in front of him.
Yeah, it's like a pigeon just died in air.
When they have the football on the let's say they have the football on the left hash mark, and he's setting a wide receiver screen up, and it's all the way on the big side of the field. I'm talking about the big side of the field.
Yep, the big side of the field. Yep.
That football lands a yard shy of those guys, or at their feet, or at their like. I seriously think there's something wrong with the shoulder because normally you throw over the top and that ball comes out with some serious spin and velocity, and it's usually a dart. When it's thrown correctly, it's a dart into the guy's chest, so he can set up the block and so he can set up with the block and move.
Yeah,
that ball has no speed on it, and it's at his feet.
Yeah, so when it comes to quarterbacks and when it comes to certain injuries that really take tolls on their careers, there are three components that affect a quarterback after injury. The shoulder is one of them that we're seeing with Cam Newton because that ball literally looks like a pigeon just got shot in the air and then it just died.
It looks like they're at a skeet range.
Yeah, they're in a skeet range, and then it just dies out like that. Number two,
there's just nothing behind it, dude. There's no velocity. There's no spin.
Yeah,
it's not good.
It's not good. And number two, the midsection. We're seeing this happen with New Orleans. I don't know. Listen, everybody is
not to interrupt you, right? But Cam Newton's injury on the injury report, guess what it was? Abdominal.
Oh God, abdominal. Yep.
Yep.
And that's the thing.
You know what I think that is? Hernia.
Yep. That's a sports hernia.
He's playing with his. I think that's what I'm telling you. I think he's playing. I think that hit out of bounds, and I think he got a hernia, and I think he's. Yeah, that's why it says abdominal. I mean, I'm not like that's just from playing football from age like 8 to 8. From playing for 15 years, from Pee Wee all the way to high school. There's just you got to learn the language. Like that they're telling you everything you need to know without telling you.
Yep.
Without telling you.
Yeah, exactly. And the last and final component that we're seeing this with Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco is your pivoting foot. Because your pivoting foot is terrible. It's terrible, but at the same time, remember he suffered an injury with that pivoting foot.
Oh, the Liz Frank injury to the foot. Yup.
That's why he's playing the way he is, because that foot injury is affecting his way he is accurate. Because the second you feel that, it sends that shock and that tweak right there to your lower body.
Yeah, the nerve.
And it now causes you to not be focused, not ignore the pain, and that's what
and not be able to drive off of it either.
Exactly. So those are those three components: shoulder, midsection, and your pivoting foot. That's three things.
Cam Newton is on the injury report, Jake. I kid you not. With it says abdominal.
Oh my god. Oh my god, man!
I'm telling you, dude,
that is crazy.
What does that tell you? Sports hernia. That says
sports
that tells hernia you all over
sports hernia all over it. Yep.
Yeah.
It's sports hernia all over it. You cannot you can't cover this up. It's there. Like it's showing itself. But I mean, think about it. Like I truly think Drew Brees, this is done. How do you come back from rib injuries like that, dude?
Ribs, dude. 11.
How do you come back from that? There's no way.
So let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you this, right? And then I'm going to tell you, and then I'll do the reverse.
Okay.
If you're Anthony Lynn, you get to be the coach of the Chargers.
Yes.
What's the game plan for the Patriots? What's the game plan to beat the Pats? How do you attack the Patriots?
So
how do you attack them and how do you defend them?
So this is what I'm looking at from the offensive perspective first, because for me as a head coach, I am getting one of the up-and-coming rising stars and also rookie of the year in Justin Herbert. The kid is balling out of his mind. And what is the Patriots' strengths? The Patriots' strengths is their pass defense, and also sometimes too, people disregard that they think they don't have a pass rush when really they do. Anybody is on that defensive front line. So to me, what I would be doing on the offense, I want to ensure a clean pocket for Justin Herbert to have time to throw, not to mention opening up those gaps for a run game for guys like Austin Eckler, who's finally back. We need to get more carries out of Josh Kelly because he's got to see the field more often. But it's more for the run game, because the run game against Buffalo was not great. It was terrible. But that's where we need to use that. Other thing.
So you're saying you think Herbert's going to go spread offense, a lot of empty backfield stuff like that?
I think he's going to go empty backfield. And this is also what I see too. What is the weakness in the Patriots? The linebacking core.
Mm-hmm. The linebackers.
The last couple of times that I saw in the Bills game, 5 plays were slant ins and slant outs all midfield, at least by 20. Yep. By 15 to 20 yards. We need to do that more often. Because a lot of guys can get open. Keenan Allen, we know, is capable of opening up and creating space for himself to get open. Jalen Guyton is another guy that I would utilize as my secret weapon, because think about it. The Patriots have been doing this for years with Julian Edelman. Yep. When it comes to midfields. That's where I got to utilize Jalen Guyton the same exact way. Let him be a secret weapon.
Beat the linebackers in the middle of the field.
Exactly, because the one thing they need to improve on is first downs. They need to improve on getting first downs. Defensively. Now, this is where, of course, without me having to Homer Simpson, choke out Gus Bradley.
Just hook him right in the throat, right?
Yes, hook him right up in the throat. We know the limitations of Cam Newton. He's not accurate of the football.
No.
But majority of the time, what I've seen from New England in the last couple of games, they've been utilizing an awful lot of their run game and screen plays. So for me, I would play a normal linebacking set where I have 3 guys at the linebacking position, because the only limitation I see with Cam is he can only do short passes. Short passes is the only thing he can do.
15. I would say 15 yards max. Is
about 15 yards max. But the rest of it, Jerry Tillery actually stepped up in a big way on the front line. And then there was also Linval Joseph, the veteran they picked up out of Minnesota. My goal for that is I need to shut down the run game. I need to shut down Cam. I need to shut down Damian Harris. And this is why that we got to have our linebacking core set as it is for the 3, because Kenneth Murray, I'm relying on being the catalyst of that, because knowing New England, when they utilize their screen plays, I've seen this with Rex Burkhead, I've seen this with James White. I am trusting Kenneth Murray as a tackling machine
to set the edge, right?
To set the edge, yes. So when the running back gets the football and he tries to march downfield, get the cut-ins to get first downs, he's going to be the guy to attack the guy who has the football in his hands. That is where I'm utilizing Kenneth Murray the most, because he's not a cover linebacker. He's never been he's not a cover linebacker. He is still developing in that. But as far as scanning and seeing that from short screen passes, that is his A game. That is his A game. And listen, our corners and our secondaries, honestly, are getting a break, because let me be honest with you. There's no way that you could possibly sneak a pass through. Honestly, Mike Davis was huge last week defending Stephon Diggs. He limited him to 4 catches at about 54 yards, and he got a pick off Josh Allen. He stepped up in a huge way in that pass game. So that's where I'm just like, Mike Davis, he's a cover guy, and he's a guy that also kind of spreads in the backfield. And he's a guy that is going to scan to see where Cam is going to throw to. But at the end of the day, he's still making coverages on wide receivers. I'm not sure what the status is with Casey Hayward. I think he's still on the injured list. He's limited. But only by game time will they say he'll be ready to go. But then at the end, Rayshawn Jenkins, I've been impressed with his game lately, because he's actually been a guy that has been more reliant on the cover. And I think for him, that's why I'm looking at this wide receiver core. I'm not intimidated by that. But for me, as a defensive secondary and trying to control this, I should not take any of those wide receivers easy. Never take them easy. Just because that there's no superstar wide receiver for New England.
Would you double Myers and take him completely out of the game? Or would you leave it as it is?
I would leave it as it is, because knowing New England, it could be
coverage would help if he needs it.
Single coverage would help if he needs it, because at the same time, it could be anybody. It could be Jacoby Myers. It could be, it could be anybody for New England. To me, I'm utilizing if a guy's got 3 or 4 catches in the game and he's been targeted 6-7 times. That's where I'm just like, okay, we need to put extra cover in here to shut that down.
We're going to squeeze that a little bit.
Squeeze that a little bit more, and then force them to now have to change options. Now, it either will benefit because it will force them to now throw and make a mistake, or they switch their option and they find a new receiver they find open, and then that's where it's like, okay, we covered him enough. Now we need to shift again, and we have to keep playing this shift game, because you're just trying to squeeze out and eliminate the possibilities of them trying to convert on third downs, which is the huge thing.
And lately, the Patriots have been bad on third down.
Lately,
they've been bad.
And that's where we're trying to keep that status quo, where they cannot convert on third down. So that's what that's my game plan for the defense. But that's where I'm hoping Gus Bradley figures this out and he gets this right. because this is just where I'm just like, you don't know what you're getting with Gus Bradley, but at the same time, you sure as hell do not know what you're getting with Anthony Lynn. But if I was the head coach, that is my game plan to beating New England.
So let's summarize. Spread offense, lots of four wide receiver, probably four wide receiver set.
Yep.
Or 5 wide empty backfields. Just spread them out, and then lots of. So you're saying cross, the utilize the middle of the field for offense, right? And then open it up for the draws with Eckler and.
Correct. And even if we run 3 wide, then at the same time we utilize Hunter Henry in the midfield. Yep.
And then defense, you're just saying just stack the box and dare them to beat you with the. Dare Cam Newton to beat him in the passing game, right?
Correct. Yep, exactly.
So, here's how I'm going to attack the Chargers, because
share me your words of wisdom, man, because you've got the coach who's been doing this for years. And I will make a point, like Tua and a lot of these young quarterbacks, Belichick has always found a way to make young quarterbacks uncomfortable. So
looks very uncomfortable. So here's what we'll go offensively first. So if I'm attacking the Charger defense, that front four is good. They've shown improvement throughout the year.
Yep.
I'm using Myers in the slot, and I'm as much as I can get him the football in front of I think your young linebackers are going to be a bit just like the Pats, that young linebacking core, and I think that middle of the field I think is going to determine who wins this game. Who can take advantage of that middle of the field, especially when your defense runs that cover 2. So I do think there's going to be some gaps, behind, in between the linebackers and safeties. Newton, as bad, they have to let him throw the football, and he's got to make those. He's got to throw. They got to let him throw. They can't. The Chargers are smart enough they've seen the tape. They're going to stack the box, and they're going to make Newton beat them with his arm. They are. They're going to.
Correct.
So if I'm throwing to Bird and Myers in the flats and in the middle of the field, I'd be running pick plays left and right. That is how I would attack them, and with the screen, you open
because there's no way of bypassing. Yep.
And when it comes to running, they're gonna have to. That O-line's gonna have to come and perform, and you're gonna need. They're going to need Harris to have a good game too. He's got to, because I do think it's going to be tough sledding for Damian Harris, because I think that front four is pretty good, but he's got to be able to get 3.5, 4 yards a carry. He's got to be able to get at least 3.5.
And you got to stack up well too, because remember last week Joey Bosa, that bear was hungry, man. That bear was busting through Buffalo's offensive line to give Josh Allen problems. To go
back to Bosa, right?
Yeah.
Isaiah Wynn, the starting left tackle, out. Rookie playing in his spot. If I'm Bosa, I'm moving all wherever that weak spot on the line is.
Yep.
That's if I'm Anthony Lynn, that's where I'm like, Joey, you find that weak spot, and just
find the weak spot.
Sit off that outside shoulder.
And this is the one thing that Joey Bosa is always good for, and I saw this in Hard Knocks. This is what he's taught a lot of those front defenders, is he teaches them the ghost rush. So what this is it's basically faking the offensive line, whether it's on the tackle or it's on the interior line. Yeah. You're faking him to where he's coming up, and then at the same time you're sneaking through, you're going under. You're going under to where he's trying to block high, and you're sneaking right in through, and that is where it's going to be the huge weakness if you allow that to happen, because then that's now going to allow him to sneak through, and that's going to allow him to pummel Cam Newton all day.
So that would be obviously the Patriots their run game has been strong, so that has got to continue. So if I know for a fact that they're going to stack the box, because that's what the good teams have done to the Cam. They've tried to make him one-dimensional. Cam has got to he's got to hit those throws. He has got to hit the throws, the short and intermediate ones, even if they're little 8-yard darts. He's got to. Yep. That's what I would do with him. The little 8-yard darts and
to be honest, it's been successful even when they faced against Lamar Jackson, and this is kind of a similar situation.
And that is how I would go at them. I would say I would throw those short routes and then just the screen game that just screen the hell out of them.
Yep.
Left and right, and just getting the ball out of Cam Newton's hands quick.
Yes.
So he doesn't take any, because to me, honestly, I think he's already hurting. So
yeah,
the faster you can get the ball out of his hands, the better.
Yeah, and it's keeping the defenses on their toes.
Mm-hmm.
It's keeping them on their toes. The faster you get that ball out of your hands, the quicker that the momentum starts to shift on your side, because now you've awakened the defense. They're pretty much bloodshot, and they're on their toes to where now they are trying to adjust to expect a no huddle offense. You know what I mean? And that's where they have to utilize the no huddle.
Now, defensively,
what do you got? What do you got now for Justin Herbert, man?
Defensively, they haven't. The one Patriots front four has not been. They got to blitz. I know Bill doesn't like to blitz a lot. I know he likes to just stick with. He's not he's not a guy who likes to blitz a lot. He'll blitz when it calls for it, and he'll wait for like the most opportune moment to do it, and it usually works. But to me, you have got to throw Herbert off his spot. If you let Justin Herbert sit back there and drive off of that back foot and go unrattled, even if you hit, I'm not talking about even if you hit him. They got to hit. If they can't get to him with a sack, then they got to knock him down, knock him off his spot, and. My thinking is they're going to have to blitz. They're going to have to bring Duggar off the edge. They're going to have to, set Winovich up on a 5 or a 6 technique out wide and rush him off the edge. They're going to have to do something. That's just how I would run it defensively. They're going to have to bring some sort of pressure, because I don't think that front line can get there. I don't think Simon is like I said, they're good in the run. But let's be honest. The Chargers aren't a running team. That is Herbert's Cadillac to drive, man. And what does he do? He's a pocket guy.
He's a pocket guy. And here's the other thing: you're looking at another up and coming Patrick Mahomes. He's a guy that is comfortable in a pocket, but at the same time, when he smells and senses danger, he gets out of the pocket. He scrambles. He can
throw on the run. Yeah,
exactly. He can throw on the run, and he can make a play happen. And that is where you got to find some ways to eliminate it and shut it down.
That's what I'm saying about getting. You have got to throw him off his spot. They have got to bring pressure. Honestly, I think you're going to see Duggar up in the box a lot, playing a lot. I think you're going to see him play close to the line against the Chargers, simply because of the threat of him coming off the edge. Even if he starts on the line and then drops back into coverage, but just to try to confuse Herbert. And I would also put Gilmore and Jackson in bump and run coverage. I would hit these receivers at the line to throw the timing off. I wouldn't play off of them. I know Keenan Allen's the one thing that I think people underestimate with Keenan Allen is his stride. Dude, his stride
He's got lazy legs, dude. He takes 3 steps and he just slides.
And he's 2 yards behind you. I think that's what a lot of these defensive backs make the mistake with him. His stride is huge. So my thinking would be I would play up on him. I would hit him, because they got to do something so the front four or the edge rusher the blitz that's coming has time to get home. Because if Herbert has time to just sit back, dissect the defense, they're going to be in trouble. And Gilmore and Jackson have got to play. They got to ball out, or it's not going to be pretty. If Herbert has 3 seconds to throw the football, it's done. They're going to be cooked.
They're going to be cooked. Yeah, absolutely.
They have got to get home. So that's what I would do. I would find a way to bring pressure, whether it's bringing Duggar up into the box, and even if you have to, like I said, drop him back into coverage from inside the box, or if it's lining up Winovich on a 5 or 6 technique off the outside shoulder and just telling him, Chase, if when he's dropping back, like it's free reign, go get him. They have got to. Because their front four has not been good with generating pressure for the pass very well. They've been okay in the run.
I've been surprised about that. Yeah,
better in the run. They've been better in the run lately. But yeah, they have not been good generating pressure. For the passing game, and that's what I would do. I would line up Winovich wide, and I would bring Duggar off the edge to knock off the timing. Because, dude, I've watched enough footage of Herbert when he gets rolling and when the rhythm gets going.
Yep.
He
just now takes it another octave,
train.
Man.
Yeah,
it's a freight train. Yeah. It's a freight train, and it just don't stop.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Once that momentum, if the Chargers go up 10 and Herbert's slinging, it could be an ugly day for them.
Oh, but yeah,
they have got to.
I agree.
They got to hit Herbert early. I'm talking like first series of the game. They got to establish that they're gonna, if they can't get to him in a sack, then they're gonna hit him, and they're gonna be knocking him around at least.
And this is what's funny, man, because the game against Tampa Bay. You're talking about you're talking about one of the top defenses with Todd Bowles, and he kept it close to a 38-31 game.
Yeah.
And Tom witnessed that. Like, I'm just looking at Tom. I'm like, I even tweeted this out. I said, Tom, you're not dealing with Phillip Rivers again. This is far from Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
This is a totally different breed. This is a totally different DNA. This kid is capable of matching up against challenges. He really is. He's matched up against the challenge against Kansas City of all teams. I did not expect Kansas City to play the way they did in week 2.
Yeah.
And I was kind of afraid of that because it's bringing a lot of pressure for Justin Herbert to perform. But man, I could watch that tape over and over again, watching him and Patrick Mahomes face off, and I cannot wait for the second bout.
When the Chargers get a new coach,
yes,
and when they get someone who Herbert,
this is where I cannot wait to speak more on this at the end of this.
Like next year when they have a new coach, like the Chargers, they're not far, dude. They are not far from from surprising some people.
Oh yeah, they are not that far. That's why I'm just like right now, like. Everybody is all poking the Bears. They're all picking on. Like, here's what I said about the Chargers. Okay, and this is just from a fan.
They're not. People don't realize they're not far. They're not far from being a really solid football team.
Oh yeah, and let me just tell you this, because from a longtime Charger fan, and I've been with this team since San Diego and right now at Los Angeles.
You've been through the ups and downs. Me and you are the same age.
So many of them.
Yeah, I'm telling you, dude, it's been a roller coaster for you guys.
It has been an absolute roller coaster. But at the same time, I mean, this is the ownership of the Spanos family, man, because this is where it's a make it or break it type deal. You cannot screw this up, because for as good as this roster has been built, because to be honest, a lot of people started talking about Tom Telesco. Tom Telesco is probably one of the smartest general managers I've seen in the NFL right now, outside of Brad Veach in Kansas City.
Football smart-wise, yeah.
Smart-wise, man, because him and Brad Veach and a couple of other general managers up out there, man, like he is the smartest one. He is definitely the smartest one. And because this is where it made my point about how great the future for the Chargers is right now. They re-signed Keenan Allen and Joey Bosa. They would have never done that if they had an absolute reason to. Yeah. Because the second Justin Herbert got drafted, he re-signs those guys, locks them up, and is just like, we're making a run. We are making a run. But right now, they're a coach away.
The Chargers need Bieniemy. As soon as you guys can start talking to him, you need to. The Spanos family needs to start, or whoever is in charge of it. They got to start. They have to start talking to him, because Bieniemy with Herbert would be scary. It would be scary.
Yeah. And this is why I'm just like, they need to make a slam dunk at a head coach. You're going to have to come out of pocket of this, but I'm telling you, like, it's risk and reward. It's risk and reward type of thing. You make a risk, you pay high bucks to getting a really good coach. The reward of it is a championship.
Yeah.
That's
or
the reward of it.
At the very least, you're going to make a deep playoff run and make a run at it. You know what I mean? You're going to give yourself a chance. You know what I mean? Give yourself a chance.
Because I'm telling you, like right now, like I have been saying this over and over again, we are basically like the Philadelphia Eagles. Because the Eagles, they got to a Super Bowl. They unfortunately lost, but at the same time, Andy Reid is a hell of a coach. He is honestly like Belichick. He's another architect, but he's an architect in the offensive play. That's why he had to have a specialty quarterback, and he's finally got one in Patrick Mahomes. So for the Chargers, they've only been in the Super Bowl once in 1994, and an embarrassing loss, 49-26 against Steve Young and that San Francisco.
Didn't they get crushed in that game?
They got crushed because they had to. What made them so good, honestly, was the defensive play with Junior Seau and Rodney Hudson.
Yep.
Or Rodney Harrison. Rodney Harrison was great, man. But you had a quarterback named Stan Humphries.
They had no offense that year whatsoever.
They had no offense. They had no offense. Natrone Means and Stan Humphries. They had absolutely no offense whatsoever.
They couldn't do anything in that game.
Yeah, and this is why that I'm saying this, and I put this up on record because I've been waiting such a long time for hope for this team.
Yeah,
and listen,
and you finally have it.
Yeah, and I've told people because listen, when the Chargers left San Diego to go to Los Angeles, everybody bailed. Yeah. And I look at the Chargers and I'm like, you screwed that up because number one, you lost a fan base now in San Diego, which at the same time, understand that when it comes to San Diego County and California, man, like look at what happened right now with Santa Clara County. They kicked out the 49ers and now they have to play the rest of the season in Arizona. Yeah. That's sad. Yeah. But like San Diego County, they wanted this much amount of money. Dean Spanos is like, screw that. We're not going to end up doing that. We're going to go to Los Angeles. And they got pushed.
Dude, SoFi Stadium looks stupid.
Oh, it is legit good, dude. Like honestly, like I look at that arena I look at that stadium in Inglewood.
Like when that's filled, when that arena's filled with fans, that's gonna be stupid.
I cannot wait to get a ticket to go up over there, dude. Like it looks really, really good. Like honestly, like me living in Vegas, I'm about 15-20 minutes away from Allegiant Stadium. And I have to say, the inside of Allegiant Stadium for the Raiders looks gorgeous, but at the same time, I'm looking at a giant-sized Roomba.
Yeah.
Okay, like that. That is literally what I am looking at that damn thing.
Where's Darian at? Where are you at?
I'm sure Darian's probably in the chat right there.
That is a supersized Roomba.
It's a supersized Roomba. I am waiting for him to throw his fingers up because I know that he will do that to me, But at the same time,
that's the best shit ever.
Exactly. But this is my thing is because the Chargers were once 14-2 with Marty Schottenheimer. And after that, they got conservative with Norv Turner, Mike McCoy, and now Anthony Lynn.
Well, Schottenheimer was aggressive. He was attacking.
He was
attacking teams on offense all the time.
There
was no steps, there was no retreat. Like it was like
I could tell you right now that if Marty Schottenheimer was coaching right now, we would already have a championship because he was so aggressive at that. And knowing you got Justin Herbert like Andy Reid with Patrick Mahomes, your specialty quarterback, you would have already won a championship because you were aggressive. You don't stop. You march downfield. Because let me be honest with you, conservative play calling does not make it in this league. It never makes it in this league. That's why you look at what's happening with, the Jets and Adam Gase, Anthony Lynn, Matt Patricia, honestly.
Yeah.
Because, oh my God.
All conservative,
dude.
afraid to, yeah. Mm-hmm.
They're all afraid to pull the trigger, but you cannot. The game is moving faster every year. And this is where you have to get acclimated with the speed and the pace. So that's why I'm just like, the Chargers need to make a slam dunk at head coach. Eric Bieniemy, Urban Meyer, or Bill Belichick. Either one of those, because here's my reason about this. If the Chargers land Bill Belichick, no matter how many times he high praised this team, all I know is Belichick has connections. Because at the end of the day, if Lynn and Gus Bradley are gone, Belichick has connections with coaches or are coordinators that he could fill in that defensive coordinating position. And I'll be honest.
What if you didn't get Belichick, but you got McDaniels?
Oh dear God. I don't think we would. We'll be good, but I don't think we'll be over the top good.
Because I don't think Bill's leaving, but Josh might if you offered him enough money.
If you offered him enough money, but at the same time, it's risk reward.
But
because
I don't,
you're either
going to like him as a head coach, though. I don't.
I do not. I don't either. After what I've seen in Denver with the Tim Tebow thing and all of this other stuff, I don't trust him as a head coach. I really, really do not. I trust him more as a coordinator than anything else. Mm-hmm. But as a head coach, that's a lot of pressure, and that is a big task.
He's just
you have to take on.
He just like we said, dude. Some guys just aren't coaches. They're just not
like
coaches.
I had a couple comments about Robert Saleh.
Yeah,
being a head coach. And you know what? I mean, I don't disregard that because I think Saleh is a guy
that's a long shot, though. That
is a very big long shot. That is a reach. Another coach that I think would be good that at some point he's going to get it is Todd Bowles. I think
he'll get another shot at somewhere. Yeah,
he'll get another shot. Yeah, he'll get another shot somewhere. And I think honestly, I think for him, in order for that to work, he's just got to have the right offensive coordinator.
Yep.
He has to, because at that point, he doesn't have to put pressure on the offense. He can now start to work on the defense. Like, look at what's happening in Miami.
Yep.
Like,
all
Miami,
they do is worry about one thing and one thing only, and it's what they're good at, and that's it.
Exactly. And so that's why I'm just like, they cannot afford to screw this up, because this is where I'm just like, whether they're in San Diego or they are in Los Angeles, I bolt up for this team till the day that I die, because I'm not just there for the ownership. I am there for the players. I look at the chart.
Loyalty to the jersey, bro.
Exactly. And this is the thing. I look at the chart.
Loyalty to the logo. The players come and go, man.
Yeah. And listen, this may shed a tear in your eye and this might get emotional, but I look at the Chargers as the orphan kid that nobody wanted. Nobody wanted.
They've been kicked around a lot, man.
They've been kicked around a lot. He's been picked on, man. And all he's hoping for is a chance. Right now, like, this is the time.
What happens if you get Bieniemy? That kid's gonna come back and punch some of those bullies in the mouth next year.
Exactly. And that's where honestly, dude, this is why I'm like, we are like the Philadelphia Eagles when they made their run to the Super Bowl that year, because my buddy was literally wearing his Eagles jersey when they won the Super Bowl, and it was Nick Foles, but he was flexing. He was doing everything. I'm like, dude, go all out, celebrate, because you guys have been waiting for 50 years to winning it. You know what I mean? For me, because this team has been established since 1960. Okay. And they've only been to the Super Bowl once. If this team one day wins a Super Bowl, I'm putting fingers around everyone. I will not have a single, I will not have a single fuck to give in the world. I will not, because every single one of them, because it's just like,
just zero, right?
You picked on us, you doubted us, you criticized us, and this is our moment, dude. Like, I'm going all out, and I will have tears in my eyes, because it's like, finally we did it.
The fucks counter for a whole year is going to be at 0.
Oh my God, yeah. And listen, this is the thing, because if there are going to be Charger fans that are going to be bandwagoning this team, I'm like, no, you had your shot. You were in San Diego. You turned away from this team. You turned away from this team
when they left San Diego. Yeah,
exactly, because you have a personal vendetta with Dean Spanos instead of trusting the team. That's it.
Just sticking with it. Yeah.
Why. Exactly. You got to trust the process in it. And that's why I'm just like, the ownership, it is what it is.
Here's the thing, right? They have a kid who can finally perform at the most important position on the field.
This kid is Andrew Luck with a strong arm, and he scrambles, dude. You will never get another Justin Herbert again.
You guys finally have the most important position on the field down.
Yes, we do.
The rest you can worry about as you go. You have the most important position on the field down.
Because think about it. Why do you think Kansas City took a risk at Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah.
Because they if their importance was just to win games, they would have never got rid of Alex Smith.
Yeah.
They would have just had him win divisions, win maybe 1 or 2 playoff games,
Go
and then
10-6 every year, 9-7, and just be fine.
But instead, because this is why scouts are so important in this league, because the second they went and saw Patrick Mahomes, they're like, we better get this kid if he's available.
Do what you need to do to get him. Yeah.
Exactly. Because listen, Chicago right now is going through that woe. They are going through that woe because the fact of you risked number 2 for a guy who only played 1 year in his senior year at North Carolina, and he stinks.
Yeah.
And you could have had Deshaun Watson, or you could have had Patrick Mahomes.
So let's close this out with predictions for the game.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What do you got, Jake?
So my prediction of this game, now that we basically
We've
ran through everything. Now I'm looking at, because I'm going to have, and I always do this every Saturday morning. You tune into my show all the time.
Yep.
I do my favorite segment of all, Prime Predictions.
Yep.
Okay. And my bet, and the bet line right now, this game is even.
Let me stop you one sec.
Yeah.
Somebody said it earlier in the chat that this game, if the teams play up to each other, could be a sneaky good game.
I think it could. I truly think it could, dude. And this is kind of funny, because this is the matchup predictor right now that I'm looking at, because I'm looking at ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
This bet is even. This
really?
is an even matchup, dude. Like,
that's Vegas telling you this is going to be a good game.
This is going to be a great game, because this is news. This is New England's first trip to Los Angeles in 28 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's crazy, man. And the percentage is an edge for New England, 51-48.
Yeah, but that ain't much.
It's not much.
You know what that is? Much. You know what that is? That's what I like to call the coaching percentage edge. That's it.
Yes. And so, to me personally, with as even as this matchup goes, I truly think, and I'm not trying to get my hopes up super high about this, knowing how intensified this game can be. But Anthony Lynn is already in the hot seat. We already know that.
If you lose, he's gone. If you lose, he's gone. So that could be the one plus side. We could beat it. We could beat you, and then you finally end that nightmare.
But here's the other thing too. Yeah, the chart. Oh, of course, Sacred. The Chargers are going to get outcoached, because you're facing against one of the greatest coaches in football right now with Bill Belichick. There's no doubt. But here's my takeaway: win or lose, Belichick is going to be paying attention to Justin Herbert. If Justin Herbert executes the play call that he has in place to making it uncomfortable for Justin Herbert, I'm telling you right now, that man is going to shake that kid's hand. And I guarantee you he's going to lean in and say, wait till next year. He is going to whisper that in his ear, and because that right there is telling you something. That is giving you an indication. I'm telling you, man. But I think, to me personally, I think right now this is going to be a coach's game. And I think personally that the Patriots, they're going to walk away with this game close by 3-point margin. And I'm going with a 27-24 Patriots win.
Are you?
Yes, I am.
See, so we're not far off, because
we are not.
I said 27. I'm going to say 27-20 Patriots. And they score that winning touchdown in the fourth quarter. I can't tell you when in the fourth, but in the fourth. They're going to score that winning touchdown in the fourth. Mm-hmm. The matchup is right. The matchup is going to be.
Damn it, Lewis and Sacred! You gave away my damn thing. Damn it! They gave away how this game was going to end.
Wait, what'd they say?
They said game winner by Nick Folk. Damn it!
That'll be the third of the year, I think, for him.
Yep, that'll be the third of the year for Nick Folk. And surprisingly.
I know, because the kicking game hasn't exactly been a strong point.
No, it really hasn't, especially after Gostkowski. I'm like, damn. But anyway, so
But yeah, so both of us think we're both kind of on the same side of it. We're saying like it's going to be a good game. It will be.
yes.
The-
Oh
y-
yeah.
So it's going to be Justin Herbert versus J.C. Jackson and Gilmore. Can Herbert beat the Patriots secondary? Can he beat that secondary? That's the matchup. It's
Yep.
it's basically Bill Belichick versus Justin Herbert.
Yes, it is.
Can Belichick and his son outsmart Justin Herbert in the secondary? That's the matchup. That's what
Yep.
it is.
Yep.
Because if they can make the Chargers one dimensional and just focus on the run, then that suits. Then Mike, that is going to be fun to watch. Gilmore and Allen, if they match up, that's going to be a fun.
Oh,
little
that's
matchup.
gonna be a hell of a matchup right there.
But that's the matchup. It's can Belichick and Steve confuse Herbert in the secondary. That's what they're going to be doing. Because I'm telling you, I got a feeling they're going to be moving guys around. I think Duggar's going to be all over the place. It's going to be interesting. And like you said, if you watch the post game and see what Bill does to see if he goes over and shakes his, because he's on all of his press conferences this week that he's talked about Herbert in all of them. So
Yes,
he clearly
has.
thinks very highly of him.
Very highly. Yep. Very highly of him.
That, and another thing too is, so somebody just brought it up before we go. He said no chance Stidham starts. I wouldn't go that far, dude. I really wouldn't.
I would not go that
If-
far.
Cam is going to
go
be
that
on
far.
a very, very short leash this game. Very short leash. I mean, like Bill's going to be watching him like a hawk. And at the
You
first
can't
sign
have
of
another
struggling,
3-pick game again, dude. You cannot have a 3 INT game again.
If Cam Newton's going to be on a very short leash. If the Chargers go up by 10 or 14, I would not be surprised if Cam sits if they yank him, because that leash for him is going to be real short.
Yep.
Because they're tired of it, dude. Belichick, underneath it all, is tired of the underperforming. You have to
I told people, yep.
you have to perform. They got to stay in the race. They have to. They can't lose. If they put
can't
Stidham
lose.
in and he's playing well for a quarter and he throws a touchdown, like I'm telling you, dude, it's Newton. It would not. I don't think we're gonna see Stidham, because I think Cam. I think he'll be able to be okay, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Yep. No, I agree with that, man.
So, Jake, before we get out of here, where can the squad get to you at? Where you have all different forms of social media, right?
Yes, I do. I have all sorts of social media. And by the way, I did you see the picture I posted up of my merch, man? It looks fire. I
new
got
shirt?
my
The new t-shirt
the new
looks fire.
shirt and the
Yes, it
hats,
does.
man. It looks fire. So, guys, and if you want to find more of me, and if you guys want to end up talking about entertainment and talking about sports all day, I'm on at Saturday, 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, I got new dates. I've got Tuesday and Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Talking more about it, kind of wrapping up the week and kind of getting geared up for what's to come ahead for next Sunday's games as well. But you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, also on YouTube. Like, subscribe, hit the bell button.
The Snake Sports Talk Show, right?
Yep,
That's what it is.
It's all the Snake Sports Talk Show as well. And for you guys, oh yeah, I seen your merch. I might have to get that. Yeah, definitely go online, and this is part of the network that I am under. It's called the SpotlightSportsNetwork.com. Go on to the merch section as you go on and look up Snake Sports Talk Show. It'll be under Spreadshirt.
That
That's the
Snake
company.
Sports Talk
Oh,
Show
yeah.
logo is fire.
It's fire, yo. Hey, but did you
With
see
with the Cobra, dude? That's fire. That's a pretty
badass.
cool logo.
But you know what adds so well to it? Did you see the new intro that I had when I did the live
Yes.
stream? Oh my
Yes.
God,
Yeah,
yo,
the new-
that is with Herbert and
Yes.
Alex Tuck
It's
and
pretty
freaking.
badass,
Oh my
yeah.
God, it's great. Nick the Wick. What do I need? Okay, hold on. I got to answer this now. Nick the Wick.
NFC East predictions.
It's the Giants.
The
Giants are winning that division.
Yes, the Giants are going to win the division.
I totally underestimated Joe Judge. I'm just going to throw that out there. I totally underestimated Joe Judge. And he was a special teams coach under Belichick. He has really worked this team. What scared me about the Giants was their defense. Because outside of Dexter Lawrence, yeah, it has. That's why I'm like, outside of Dexter Lawrence and Blake Martinez, I didn't trust their secondary. I didn't trust anybody that was up over there. And I was just like, Joe Judge pretty much.
You want to know a little fun fact? The Giants are in first place in this in defense in this category.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're in first place in QB hits in the league. They don't have the most sacks, but they are in first place for QB hits. That means they're getting to the quarterback.
Yeah, they're getting after you. And listen, the Giants have never been strangers on that. Remember guys named Michael Strahan and
Umenyiora. Dude, don't even go there with me.
Kiwanuka. I mean, yeah, they had a lot
Umenyiora, Kiwanuka, Strahan. Dude, they've had that. Yeah, believe me. Don't even get me started.
Oh yeah, and honestly, like I think Washington football team, they're going to have a bright future, but they need to figure out this quarterback thing.
Yeah,
because
they need once again they need a quarterback.
They need a quarterback, and I love
the Eagles need to fire Doug Peterson. That dude,
I think so, but
because guess what? Because you know what this shows you. You know what this season shows Eagle fans, and I like Patriot fans can be. I'm surprised we don't get along, but Eagle fans. You know what this shows Eagle fans is that Frank Reich was the mastermind behind that Super Bowl win.
Oh yeah,
that they beat the Patriots.
Oh yeah, that's why
Frank Reich was the mastermind. It wasn't Doug Peterson. It was Frank Reich that won that Super Bowl.
Frank Reich was the quarterback whisperer, man. He was
a
former quarterback in this league, and he is an offensive coordinator who knows his quarterbacks. And now being a head coach in Indianapolis right now, they are a quarterback away from being 11-5, 12-4.
Yeah. Yep. A legitimate quarterback. And that defense is not there yet. But it's getting there.
My hot take, Darnold.
You know who has? Hey, people don't realize this, right?
Yeah.
The Colts' offensive line is like fourth in the league right now.
Yeah, because look at it, Quentin Nelson.
It's good. That offensive line for the Colts is really good.
Quentin Nelson is the centerpiece of that offensive line, and everybody works through him. And this is my hot take about the Colts. Colts, they're going to get Sam Darnold. Because a number 4 offensive line like that, Darnold deserves that.
The one thing with Darnold, though, is he too broken at this point? That would be my worry. Is he too broken? Did Gase break? Did Gase crush his spirit to the point where he can't recover?
We said this about Ryan Tannehill at one point.
That's true in Miami.
And Tannehill is balling in Tennessee.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's too broken. I just think right now he's banged up.
Yeah.
I think
he's just done. Darnold looks done. He looks done with Gase. He looks done with New York.
Oh, I said this. Gase has been closed for weeks, dude. But this is the thing. My takeaway was because remember the post mono?
Yep.
Dude,
yep.
that is why I do not think he's too broken.
Yeah.
I do not think he is. I just think he's done.
Yeah.
But
I don't blame him either. I really don't.
No, not at all. But yeah, so that's where you can find me. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, also on YouTube. Like, subscribe, hit the bell button, and get the notifications on all of my future live stream shows, highlights, news talks, all sorts of it. I'm also live up on Twitch as well, so definitely follow me on all social media platforms. Really do appreciate it. Get your guys' gear as well on the SpotlightSportsNetwork.com/merch.
And then you just click on your link, right? And that'll
just
take
click
you to
up
your
on
merch,
my
right?
link, and that'll take it to it. And I have my link actually also in the bio. If you look me up on Facebook and Instagram, that's where you can find it.
Perfect. Cool.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, thanks a lot, Jake. This has been a lot of fun, man. We ran through pretty much everything. That's I think it's gonna be a good one, man. I think it's gonna be a good game. I think.
As I said, this is a testament game.
Mm-hmm.
Yourself, all of the Patriot fans out there, you all said Tom Brady would not leave, and here we are again.
Well, it's an important the Patriots can't lose. In order to keep their playoff hopes alive, they cannot lose the rest. They have to win 10 games. They have to go 10-6 to give themselves even an outside shot at it. Mm-hmm. If the Chargers do beat them and they're 9 and they finish 9-7, I don't think that's going to get them in. I don't think that's going to get them in.
I honestly had at the beginning of the year, I had the Patriots finishing at 8-8.
Yeah,
8-8.
That's what everybody had them at. 8-8, 9-7. That's what they said they would be.
Because
with a ceiling of 10-6 or 11-5. That's this absolute ceiling.
Yep. Because honestly, your crutch right now with this team is the coaching staff. That is your crutch.
Yeah, the one thing that they fall back on every game.
Yep, every time. That's why I'm just like, there's only so much of coaching that you can do that eventually you need pieces.
Yeah, you need, Jake, this is a league of talent. You need,
yes, it is.
At some point, coaching can only get you so far. You can't, you got to have talent in the right spots. You have to.
Yes, you do. Absolutely, man. That's the only way to make it in this league.
Yeah. But anyways, good luck, Jake. This was a lot of fun, man. Good luck this weekend. Fuck your team.
Fuck your team too, bud.
No, it's gonna be a good game, man.
I think it's gonna be shocking. No pun intended.
Yeah. Weak sauce. That was good though. But again, though, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in.
Yeah, Fire Destroyer. I just mentioned it. You just go online to spotlightsportsnetwork.com, go on the merch section when you go onto the site, and then just look up Snake Sports Talk Show right there, and then you'll find all of my merchandise right there. All right,
guys. For Jake and myself, y'all have a good night. We are out of here.
And
Peace.
don't forget to bolt up.